Hello. Okay, I saw part of Top Gun again the other night, and it was on TV with commercials, so I only watched about an hour. And already I started thinking of things that I hadn't thought of before. So if other people have covered this, uh, ignore me. I guess I don't know. Nobody watches these hardly anyway. Um, but I keep doing them. I was going to do a war movie roundup kind of leading into this one, and then I never got around to it because I don't think those movies needed significant rewrites, so it would have been more just name dropping in a list. So, now with Top Gun, of course, we have a sequel that came out way after the original, which gives us new perspective on the original. So that's kind of why I'm doing this video because, of course, I bought the Maverick DVD and I haven't watched it yet. So my thoughts on that movie, maybe I'll post in the near future. I think most of the criticisms I've seen of both films, though, are kind of the more it's jingoistic propaganda kind of bend rather than or slant rather than actual story structure issues. So I'm not going to talk about you know political ramifications or military this or that. Obviously with military stuff, some stuff might be classified, so they can't show it. A lot of stuff is really hard to film. So here we have Tom Cruise who does these crazy stunts and things. Um, so who better to make these movies, I guess. Because when they made the first one, he was like the only one who didn't. Well, I think he puked the first time they flew him, and then he got over it, and the other guys all lost their lunch and they couldn't use the footage or whatever. And I think and then of course there was the whole bit about guys dressing up or pretending to be, all the Navy guys were going to the bars and trying to tell women that they were really Top Gun flight instructors. Uh, you know, Nowadays, I guess a dumb one might take you to court thinking, like, does anyone believe that I'm really Maverick because I'm wearing this jacket? No, I hope not. Like, give me a break. Not the point. I liked the look of it, so I put some patches on a jacket. Period. Uh, and I wasn't in the Navy. My dad was in the Air Force. There you go. He liked jets. I like prop planes. Why Maverick flies a Mustang, an Army plane instead of a Corsair? Again, we'll save that for the next movie. Going back to the original, though, and there was three kind of things that really stuck out on me. Again, some of this because I saw the new movie and then the gears kind of started turning like, okay, why in the new movie Maverick is very involved in Rooster's life because he's Goose's son and Meg Ryan, and there's a whole backstory there. But in the first movie, it's all Maverick and his dad, and everybody's kind of like questioning, Maverick flying against the ghost of his father, and Kelly McGillis asks him this directly, Viper asks him this directly. Um, I, I kind of don't want to get out of order too much, but that's like the crux of the psychological thing, right? And there's the bit where he kind of explains it away to her at dinner. He says, "Well, my mom died shortly after," and he just leaves it at that. So it's never really explained the same way as Rooster. In the '80s, nobody really, I guess, cared this much of a backstory. Like, who raised Maverick then? Why weren't guys like Viper and these other Navy guys like involved in his life? Or maybe they were, and that's why he's still a fighter pilot, but it's just not shown. I don't know. Maverick is this mystery, and that's like the important thing. And then in the new movie, like he shows that he's the best and he shuts them all down pretty quick. And whereas in this other movie, again with the Viper thing, like you just called this guy back to Top Gun because he's one of the best pilots. And then the first thing that he does, now Charlie does it too, but she explains for, to cover her tracks so the guys won't know she's into him. Viper, on the other hand, the first thing he does is like criticize every single one of Maverick's performance. Now, the first performance is when he goes below the hard deck, then he buzzes the tower. So yeah, you're on the crap list. You put yourself in the doghouse with that one, buddy. But then in every subsequent hop, before Goose even gets killed, it's Maverick did this wrong. Maverick did this wrong. And then as soon as Goose dies, it's like, no, you're great, Maverick. You need to get back in there. So a little inconsistencies with kind of the Viper character maybe that come to light now. Again, looking at the new movie and kind of holding Viper up against the Maverick instructor mentality. But again, Charlie kind of echoing that, oh, what you did was dead wrong. And then she chases him down on the motorcycle and in her Corvette, or not Corvette, convertible. And, says, I thought you were right on, but I couldn't say so. Yeah, the love story. Now, that's the other thing. Now, the scene in the elevator, we've all seen the speculation. I'm not going to go into it. We know from the bonus footage or the special edition or whatever that was added later because they felt there was something missing. But it's kind of a weird scene to put there. Like, it feels like there's actually a missing scene before that scene because we have two scenes in a row where almost nothing is really said. Like, Maverick talks about his family a little bit. He tells her relax about the MiG. Then they're in the elevator, and there's this kind of like nonsensical conversation. And this is before they get intimate, which happens after their first argument. So, because she says, oh, I've been totally falling for you the whole time. So it seems like there's a little bit of sequencing issue there, but audiences didn't really care because they wanted the steamy love story and they wanted the drama and blah, blah, blah. And so again, I'm not sure that it would necessarily be her he'd want to give all the backstory to. And it would be kind of hard to give the backstory to somebody like Iceman, and Goose would already know it. So I'm not sure where that component should fit, but it feels like in between the elevator and the dinner, something is missing there that should be resolved with Maverick's feelings about his mom and his dad a little bit more than waiting till the very end with the Viper conversation, where it's more of a conversation. I mean, yeah, he's giving him the information about how his dad died and stuff, but it's more of a conversation about his reconciliation with Goose at that point, right? I mean, because when this other stuff happens, he's still thinking about his dad. Why would he be trying to reconcile with his dad after his best friend has just been killed? Like, I don't know. It works overall. People don't seem to question it. But like, then the other scene that's important though is when Iceman corners him in the locker room and says, well, what was your wingman doing while you were farting around with the MiG? And Maverick's like, hey, he was doing just fine. Well, actually, he wasn't just doing just fine. He was having a nervous breakdown in the cockpit. Not that Maverick would necessarily know this, even as a good buddy or a pilot or whatever. But again, you called this guy back to Top Gun because he's supposedly one of the best pilots. And was Maverick's wingman the better pilot? Don't know. Is Iceman the better pilot? Don't know. In the new movie, we don't have to worry about it because Iceman brings it up, but it doesn't matter. You're already retired. You're not flying. And, then he becomes deceased in two scenes later. So technically Maverick is still one of the top three, but this guy has a mental breakdown and quits. And this guy wins Top Gun, but isn't as good. And technically, some people want to argue that Iceman killed Goose. Some people want to argue that Maverick killed Goose because, where the position of the planes is. I mean, if you're that good of a pilot, are you really getting in this guy's jet wash? Don't know. Don't fly jets. But as a story issue, it worked reasonably well because most people weren't blaming Maverick, whether they should or not, because he's the main character and Iceman is kind of the villain. So it worked well enough that Iceman doesn't at first he cuts Maverick off and Maverick's like, oh, I can't believe you cut me off. It's like, all you've been talking about for the last 45 minutes is how you have to be an aggressive pilot. And then you get mad when this guy's an aggressive pilot, right? So I got to give the point to Iceman there. Like, no, he went for it. He just didn't get the angle. That wasn't, and he was taking too long in Maverick's opinion. But, and here's the crux. At this point, Maverick's already been traumatized from the previous encounter, and so he's not going to leave his wingman. He's staying with Iceman. He's doing what everybody's been telling him to do for the whole time. But when you first see the planes engage, there's Iceman and Maverick, but there's three bogies. So while Maverick and Iceman are both chasing, I assume it's Viper, Jester and the other, whoever, could have already swooped in and got both of them. So I don't know what strategy this is. Again, that that goes more to military whatever than movie writing, I guess. I mean, in the shot, it's cool because they see the three bogies and they hop down on them. But in real life, you're outnumbered and they're faster. what are you thinking even engaging? Yeah, I mean, I know you're supposed to engage. That's the point of the exercise, but I don't know how you're supposed to succeed in this engagement. So yeah, I don't know. We're at 10 minutes, and if anybody wants a follow up or has any questions, I guess tell me what you would do different.